everybody, and welcome back. So today I finally wanted to take a few minutes to answer your questions about Sensationail Gel. I must start off by offering my sincerest apologies that it's taking me so long. The last 2 weeks I have been sick with pneumonia, being treated with antibiotics for that, and just haven't felt up to answering the questions. But we're going to finally give it a shot today, and hopefully everything you wanted to know, you will be able to find out here. I guess first of all I should tell you how I became involved with Sensationail. I actually found it quite by accident one night shopping around in Walmart. I was looking for a product that I would be able to use that could dry nail polish so that it wouldn't take me hours whenever I would do a manicure, and happened to stumble upon Sensationail on the shelf. I brought it home and fell in love with it right away. That was way back in December of 2011, and I have been loyal to them ever since. About 18 months later, Sensationail did see some of the designs that I had posted and contacted me about becoming an ambassador of the program, and since then I have been happily promoting that company. This video here is not sponsored by Sensationail, and at the moment I am not quite sure what is happening with the ambassador program. That is one of the questions that several of you have emailed me about, wanting to know what the status is of the Sensationail ambassadors, and I honestly don't know. The last email that I received from them stated that they were restructuring the ambassador program and that they planned to continue it, but there was no date of when they would get back with us to let us know. So at this moment, I'm not even sure if I could still be called a Sensationail ambassador, but whether or not I officially am, I will continue to promote the company because it is a product I believe in, and it is a product that I loved even before they contacted me. I also just want to go ahead and thank a couple of my friends, Mo and Charlotte and Pam and Lori and Evie. I met them soon after starting with Sensationail and got a lot of advice from them. So some of the advice that I will be passing on to you today is information that I learned from them as they helped me become an expert in gel polish. So I want to go ahead and link some of their channels for you right here, and I encourage you to stop by and check them out, give them a subscribe, and support what they're doing. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump right on in with the questions that you sent to me about Sensationail Gel. The first question comes from Unsuccessful Graduate, and she asks, why is it so much harder to get Sensationail off compared to other gels? Any tips? I believe that the reason it is so much harder to remove Sensationail than some of the other gel polishes I've tried is because Sensationail is such a top-notch product with their primer. The Sensationail primer is a bonding agent that actually connects the gel to your nail. It acts like a glue. That is the reason that it will last at least 2 weeks for you. The only tip that I can give you for an easier removal process than what you may be experiencing right now is to either skip the primer altogether. I happen to skip the primer on mine because it is very hard to get it off of my nails. My daughter, on the other hand, has a nail chemistry, and she has to have the primer, and it removes just fine off of her. So it really does depend on chemistry. If you're experiencing the difficulty in removal, just skip it altogether, or simply make sure you're going around the outer circle of the nail instead of applying the primer to the entire nail. The next question comes to us from Christine Lawton. She says, I bought the clear nail polish a few weeks ago and used this once. When curing with this, it did get very hot under the lamp. Have since come to use this today, and after I unscrew the top, only the stick comes out minus the brush applicator. This must be stuck in the bottle somewhere. Why would this have happened? That is a great question, Christine. A lot of people don't realize that gel nail polish can A, cure in the sun, so you need to keep it away from any windows or natural sunlight, and B, if it is set in front of your lamp, even off to the side a little bit, the UV rays or the LED rays from that lamp can actually cure the polish while it's still in the bottle. And Sensationail bottles, they are painted painted with a black paint that is supposed to help prevent that, but of course we know that light can still penetrate and it will stick that inside of your bottle. So it is possible that you got your bottle a little too close in front of the lamp and it cured, creating the problem with the brush sticking down inside the gel and hardening. The reason why you may have been experiencing a heat sensation is you might have had your layer a little too thick. When applying gel polish, you need to keep your layers as thin as possible. The thicker the gel, the hotter it will become on your nail. So that's always a good sign that you might be applying a little too thick. Our next question comes from Hannah, I am, and she asks, even though I prep my nails the way it tells me to and clean around my cuticles before I cure, my polish still only lasts 4 to 5 days before it starts lifting at the cuticle. Any tips on how to stop this? Yes. Keep it off of the cuticles at all costs. I do have a video that I will link right here that will show you the best application to avoid the cuticle area. One thing about gel polish, if it overflows onto your skin at all, as the nail begins to grow, it is going to pop that gel away from the skin, creating an area underneath where air and water can get in. And this is what most often causes the lifting. And sometimes, especially with the clear base coat, it's hard for us to see if we're actually getting it onto the skin, and we can let it overflow on there, and then it is going to create that breakage in the seal as the nail grows. So I always encourage you that after you get your base coat on, go back around your cuticle with your orange stick or any other type of nail art tool that you may have to make sure the cuticle is as clean as possible before you cure that gel, and that should stop your problem with lifting at the cuticle. Our next question comes to us from Samantha Candice, and she says, if I run out of the gel cleanser but don't want to buy a new one because I still have enough of the primer, can I use regular alcohol or non-acetone nail polish instead? And what do you recommend I use in place of the lint-free wipes? I find myself running out of both cleanser and wipes before anything else. Samantha, the same thing happens with me because the cleanser we use quite a bit. So I choose to use 91% isopropyl alcohol, and we just pick it up at our local drugstore. You can also purchase it at Walmart or anywhere like that that sells it. I do get the 91% because it is almost the most pure. I find that with the 70% or less, there's enough oils in there that when I try to use that to remove the moisture layer, it still leaves it a little sticky. So I suggest that you go with the 91%, but yes, that is an option, and it is definitely cheaper than having to buy the whole essentials kit when all you need is the cleanser. As far as the lint-free wipes, there are a few of my friends, Mo that I mentioned earlier is one of them, that she uses paper towels and that seems to work well for her. I have tried that a few times and I noticed that it still leaves lint on mine, so I'm not sure if maybe I just have the wrong paper towel or not, but I go ahead and invest in those lint-free wipes and I keep those on hand. But it is an option for you if you would like to try the paper towels. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that she mentioned just the cheapest old like Dollar Tree brand was actually the best that she found for that purpose. So you're welcome to give that a try. Our next question comes from Bravo. She says, I follow the instructions 100%, but yet I still have issues with lifting. If I want my mani to look perfect for 2 weeks, I have to fix or redo multiple nails multiple times. How do I fix this? I think this goes back to what I said just a few minutes ago about making sure you keep it off of the skin around that cuticle. If you're experiencing the lifting near the cuticle or on the sides of the nail, that is most likely the issue. If it's not chipping at the tip, then it sounds like you're capping it well, and it's just a little bit of overflow. So make sure your cuticles and skin is very clear before curing that gel. Our next question comes from TKW. She says, I use the foil wrap method to remove my gel. I always buff off the layer first. My cotton is definitely soaked, it leaks out. And the 100% acetone is what I use. I have let it sit for up to 35 minutes, but yet I still have to do some pretty decent scraping. I have never been able to just flake off the excess. Any tips? In all honesty, I have never been able to flake off my excess either. There are times that it's a little easier to remove. What I typically do for myself, because you never want to scrape on your nails. You will damage your nails that way. And everyone who is writing into Sensationail about experiencing nail damage, it is because of improper removal. If you use the product correctly, you will not experience damage to your nails. Like I said, I have been using since 2011 and I have no nail damage because I make sure that I take care of how I remove my gel. If you have soaked your nails for the 35 minutes and the primer is still really working with your chemistry and not releasing the gel, then what I do is lightly buff a second time and then rewrap my nails again for about another 15 minutes. This always releases by the second time. So yes, it may take a little bit longer to do it that way, but I highly recommend the double wrapping process versus scraping so that you can protect your natural nails. And it may just be that you are one that's going to need to skip the primer. It might be worth experimenting with. Another question from TKW. What should a well-capped nail look like, and do you have a tip for capping the nail? Mine either end up too thin to where I can still see the white tip, or too thick where I have a bulge at the end of my nail. White tip due to possible shrinkage. That's a great question because it is easy to over-cap the nail and it will leave a bulge. Your nail, whenever you get finished capping it, I'll insert a picture right here, should look just like a regularly polished nail. From the underneath, it's probably going to look a little thicker. You will be able to see that. No one else will. But when people look at your manicure, it should just look like a manicure that you've done with regular polish if you've done it well. I'm going to insert a link right here that I have to a video I created on how to properly cap the tip of a nail, and hopefully that will show you the exact amount you should have on your brush. When I get ready to cap the tip of my nails, I make sure that my brush has just a very, very thin layer of polish on it so that it doesn't overbuild. And the last question comes to us from TKW. She says, how do you become, or what do you have to do to become a Sensationail ambassador? Right now, I wish I could answer that question for you, but I really don't know what's going on with the program. I was contacted by Sensationail out of the blue one day that happened to see my designs, and I had worked very closely with them for about 6 months. They've had some transitions in their company and they're rebuilding the ambassador program, and I'm not sure at this point if they're going to continue it or if they're not. My suggestion to you would be to write on their Facebook wall. I have noticed where they've commented back to a few people that commented there and given them an email address. I don't have that email address with me. If I can find it in my old emails, then I'll insert it right here for you. Contact them and ask them if they plan to bring the program back and let them know you're interested in it. They are a great company to partner with. Like I said, though, right now I just don't know what's going on with that program. So once again, I just want to say this video is not sponsored by Sensationail. It is a video I decided to do on my own because so many of you were sending me questions and asking me about the gel. You've fallen in love with the product and wanted to know how to use it a little better. So I thought I'd just take a few minutes to try to help you any way I could. So I hope this answers all of your questions about Sensationail Gel. If there was a question you have that was not addressed, please list it down below. I will make sure that I get back with you to answer those questions. And if I need to make a subsequent video to answer those questions, I will be happy to do that. I would love to see your experience with Sensationail as pleasurable as mine has been. I want to thank you so much for tuning in and supporting my channel, and we'll see you in the next episode of DeeVine DeeZine.